We've got time for about 15 minutes of questions, or if you want to make a short comment, because this is about Professor Wegman listening to you, I'm quite happy for you not to say a question, but to just make a statement about what you think about some of that, or what you'd like Professor Wegman to take into account while he's here. Would you be good enough to, Denise, we'll give you a microphone. Would you be good enough to say your name and where you're from? Sir.
You haven't said a lot about the alcohol involvement. There's been references up there on your slides, and thank you for what you've given us tonight. Our current legal BAC level is 0.05. Would you like to make a comment on what you believe it should be and why? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. We have 0.05 in the Netherlands as well, and we have 0.02 for professional drivers and novice drivers. For me, there are three elements of key importance when you address the drinking and driving problem. That is the legal limit. That is the police activities on drinking and driving, and that is the way you punish people when they are above the legal limit. And they all three are of importance. That means that only more police of only lower limits or only higher punishment cannot be the answer. There are three components, and I feel perfectly well with 0.05 in my country. And the reason is, and that's perhaps different in your state than in my country, that the remaining drinking and driving problem in the Netherlands is not people a little bit above the legal limit. It's people who are driving with BAC contents 103, 14, 15, and there we are talking about a serious alcohol problem. And that serious alcohol problem will not be addressed by changing the legal limit. We have to address that problem differently than we have done in the past. And in the past, we were very good in reducing drinking and driving for the majority of the population. To one figure, in the Netherlands, 1% of all kilometers traveled are impaired by alcohol. And that remaining problem has a different character than the problem we had in the past when we had 3, 4, 5, 6% above the legal limit.
Coordinator of the Prospect Bicycle User Group, please do something for vulnerable road users who choose to use sustainable transport of the bicycle. My local council is trying to persuade Transport to overlook the cycling strategy of SA, plus several federal and government guidelines, and make Prospect Road less safe for cyclists, e.g. removing bicycle lanes.
The only thing I can say about that right from the start, from my stay here, this bicycle problem or the situation of the bicycle was brought to my mind. And coming from a bicycle-friendly country, I'm certainly going to address this item and see what we can do on that. A few bicyclists here.
Oh. Liz Flint from the Gawler Road Safety Committee. You haven't mentioned anything about tinted windows. Like most of us in Australia, I think, have tinted windows. But recently at a lecture I went to, they are not a safe thing to have tinted windows, particularly when driving at night. Have you any information on that?
No, I think I talked, perhaps you've seen it, I talked about social interaction. And in that respect, it's very important that you have eye contact. Tinted windscreens are not good for that purpose, and in my opinion, it would be better not to have them, at least not on the front of cars.
Chika from the University of Adelaide. Thank you very much. My question is actually, for your experience in the Netherlands, what type of cultural shifts did you institute on the community to ensure that all the strategies the government implemented was effective? For instance, the value of cars, ownership of cars, use of public transport, because sometimes to us, cars are signs of identity for some people. So what type of shifts did you go through?
Chika, was that the question, what type of communications?
No, cultural shifts.
Cultural shifts.
Yes, not communication.
Yeah, it's a very good question, a very important question. Of course, I can tell you what we did to value certain transport modes and to make safer communities. What I can say about that, and perhaps that's the aim for us as here in South Australia as well. The aim is how to get public support for road safety measures. And it's an interesting thing to think about how to create pressure from bottom up to road safety measures instead of the other way around, what we have done in the past. I have a good idea and I bring this message to you communities. And that results in the question to NGOs and community groups and whatever, how to organize more pressure on road safety measures. Because it's my belief that there is a strong wish in every society to become safer. There's a wish in every society to create a safer environment for children, a safer environment for elderly people. And the big question here is, and again a piece of homework perhaps, how should that be organized? Could that be organized in this country? It has nothing to do so much with road safety, it has everything to do with how to create more requests for safety measures. Because that was the fundamental thing we did in many communities, create that request.
Denise is managing the microphone. Denise, I can't see you. Oh, there you are.
Good day. Welcome to Adelaide, Fred. I have lived in Amsterdam in the 1970s and can still remember most of it. But a couple of things that you brought up, with your statistics about the accident rates and deaths that was calculated per million population. A little story, we bought a car when we were in England, we drove around Europe, we did 16,000 kilometres in 6 months, lived in Amsterdam for a year. My partner, girlfriend at the time, had family in Rotterdam. In a year we kept that car, we did nearly 2,000 Ks. So I think in Australia, I mean Amsterdam and Adelaide have got a few things in common, but we travel a lot longer on the roads. And I think that the actual statistics that come out should actually be based on how many kilometres you put with your backside in the seat. It's a lot easier. In Amsterdam it was easier to catch the tram and drive the train than to scrape the pigeon poo off the windscreen. The other one was, with your causes of accidents, you mentioned that they're not single events, but it seems that most of our politicians and legislation seems to be directed at two things, speed and alcohol, because they're easy to identify, but we all know, and I obviously agree with your analysis, there's a lot more to it than that. How do we convince our political masters that we've got to look at other factors like education as well? Thank you.
Thank you. For the first question, I agree with you for 50%. If you would like to express the burden on society of traffic fatalities and injuries, then it's better to relate that to inhabitants. If you try to express the quality, the safety quality of transport, it's better to relate that to kilometers traveled. So you use both. The first one is the political statement, how important is this item and can we improve the situation. The other one is how does the system performs well. About your second observation, I had the same observation already, and we are going to discuss that.
Thank you.